If you clicked on this video, it's because you have far too many interests than you know what to do with. And what I want to say to you is that that's actually pretty awesome. And we live in a world where a lot of people give you the advice of specialize, become really good at one thing. But if you've clicked on this video, it's because you've heard that advice, maybe you've tried that advice, but it still, at the end of the day, doesn't feel right to you. It doesn't feel right in your soul. You have too many things that you want to explore, that you want to create, that may not be around just one single thing. And I think really what most of us need that are multi-passionate people is permission to have multiple interests and to explore them and not feel guilty about it or shameful. I think where the pressure to specialize is that, even starting when you're a kid, right? What's one of the number one questions we get asked is, what do you want to be when you grow up? Which is a kind of a terrible question to ask a child. But what it does is it boxes us in. It's very easy to look at people and say, oh, that's Chris, that's the podcaster guy, or, that's this person, that's the real estate agent, or this is this person, they are a chef. And you put that label on them, and that's what you expect from them. And what I found is that a lot of people will then feel that pressure, like they know they're known for one thing, so they feel the pressure to just keep that up, like as if it's the only thing people want to know about them. And what that is doing is, for some people, it works well. For people that want to specialize and love that and want to be a chef for the rest of their lives because they just really, really love it, that's awesome. But for some people, that's just not going to be something that you love every single day. But what I think that does is, when there's someone that's multi-passionate, that wants to do a lot of things, become, somewhat of a Renaissance artist, is that it robs you from expressing yourself fully and robs the world from knowing all that you are able to offer to the world in terms of your ideas and things like that. I've met a lot of people that maybe they're a chef and that's like their main thing, but through talking to them, I find out that they actually love photography. And I would have never known that if I hadn't asked a question that prompted them to tell me that. Or people that are in real estate that love video games and they want to stream video games. But I would have never known that because we box people in. We want to give them one label versus being someone that has a lot of interest and a lot of passions and does a lot of things. I think sometimes people can look at, you, if you're passionate about a lot of things, as if you're kind of all over the place. You're bouncing around and all of this. To me, there's been moments where I've fallen into thinking that of people. And then I think of myself when you wouldn't be able to say like, oh yeah, Chris is like all over the place. He's bouncing around. And I don't enjoy it. Like, I enjoy when I'm bouncing around through different passions. Like, for me personally, I love making videos. I love writing. I've been trying to write some short stories and maybe a book, sort of, on and off. I love music. I've got drums back here. I have a keyboard back there to start trying to produce music. Like, I love that. I love podcasting. I love streaming video games. Like, I love all of these different things. And I felt a lot of like guilt for like trying to be interested in all of those things and potentially explore creating content around all of these different things instead of being this single specialized person that only is a drummer or is only talking about podcasting. Those are things that I'm actively doing right now, or I have done those. And instead of putting the pressure to become this one thing, what I realized is I don't like to be one thing. I like to do all of those things. And really, once I've given myself permission to be a musician, a writer, a creator, all of these different things that I love, it's just, okay, well, how do I want to fit it in? And that goes through different seasons. And that is really where it comes down to, there's not a perfect, layout here, a perfect calendar. I think it's ultimately just asking yourself, like, when do I want to create this thing and focus on this? And when would I want to focus on this other thing? If you want to do painting and you love to paint in the morning, but in the evening you love to play basketball with a league or something, it's like, cool. Find the times that fit all of that stuff in. You don't have to just be a painter or just an athlete. Like, you can do those different things. And for me, I found it's it's helpful to think about it through like sprints. I kind of call them creative sprints, where for a week I'll really put effort into writing. And so I'll be like, okay, I want to write 2,000 words a day roughly for this week. But then by the next week, I'm going to spend a little bit of time focusing on music and all of this stuff. So by the end of the month, I feel fulfilled in what I'm creating and these things that I'm trying. What I do think is helpful in my situation, and I think if you aren't at this point yet, give yourself some grace, is that I do feel like I have a good baseline of a lot of these skills, and that comes from time and a lot of different scenarios where I've had experience in training. And so, because like what I can do sometimes is I'll hear someone talk about all the different things they do, and I'm super, super jealous of that. And then I've heard moments where people are like, wow, you were able to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm the first to be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, it's not like a off the bat thing or suddenly overnight. It's like, I happened to start playing drums when I was like 10. And then like I had a lot of lessons and a lot of training over the years to get to where I feel pretty confident in that. I started making YouTube videos when I was like 8. Like I'm now at the point where I've talked on camera for different YouTube channels over the years for over a decade of my life. Like it feels very natural to me, but it's because I didn't start yesterday. I've literally been doing it on and off for over a decade, as well as things like writing. It's like all the writing projects that I did in school, I always took more serious than maybe other people. And I got feedback from teachers to be like, hey, like you've got something here, like explore it. And so like that made me feel like, okay, I have a good baseline skill set here. So if I try to write a short story or something, I think I can pull this off. And this is literally no way. I don't feel great at any of these things, but I do feel like I have a baseline enough that I can jump around in a way that doesn't make me feel like I have to start from scratch every single time. I think that's the biggest thing for people. If you're multi-passionate, but maybe you haven't given yourself the chance and permission to do, a couple of these things, I would say get good at something where you won't have to go back to, square one. Because there's a couple things for me, like producing music. Every time I take a break from that recently, it's only in this last one where I'm like, okay, I think I'm at a baseline where I'm not forgetting everything now and have to rewatch the same tutorials. Like I have a good baseline. So now I can kind of jump in and add that to my mix of like when I want to produce a song or something, I'm going to try that out and, fit that into my week because that's what I love to do. Like, even though people are thinking of me as right now, like just this podcaster person, that's kind of what I do professionally for right now. It's like, I also want to be a musician, and that's okay. And I am just really at this point where these last few weeks, I've really tried to give myself permission and embrace, like, I love to do a lot of different things, and that is okay. And that is okay for you. I think that people that are able to create music and write books and shape things with, I don't know, woodworking. Like I'm super jealous of anybody that has that skill set. That's one thing I have to explore, but I have to get my baseline skill set way up there because I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. But that's the thing where it's like, if you're able to do all of those things, that's incredible. That makes you really interesting. And some people might say that you're all over the place, but to me, that means you haven't boxed yourself in. You've given yourself the opportunity to be who you are. Try the things that you want to try. Whether it's good or bad by other people's standards doesn't matter, because if you want to do it, it's going to be fun for you. And that's what I value is, am I spending my time on things that I'm going to feel proud of, whether it's good or not by other people's standards, but I'm going to feel proud that I've made progress on it and gotten better. So like for me right now, this week's heavy on recording videos. I've just recorded a handful of videos back to back, and I feel really good. But as a multi-passionate person, it might be that I focus on music next week, and that's okay. And just giving myself permission to just bounce around these different things, not do them all at once. There might be weeks where I will do an hour of this, an hour of this, an hour of this, and just kind of jump around. But that's not a thing to feel guilty about. That's something that's cool, because what I also found is when you're trying a bunch of different things, you gain clarity around what it is that you like the most out of, whether it's creating videos or writing or music. And you're able to just almost move faster when you like go deep on like a creative sprint of one thing, and then you take a break. When you come back to it, your ideas are so much more polished. And so I think that if you're looking for permission to become a multi-passionate person and embrace it, I hope this video was helpful and really just kind of sharing my mindset around it. It's something I've struggled with for a very, very long time that I'm now like, screw it. I'm just going to go for it and embrace it because it makes me happier. And at the core of everything that we do, it's like, if it makes you happy to do it, why would you not do it? Why would you avoid it for the fear of other people? Or I don't know. Like, it doesn't make sense, yet we all struggle with it, or a lot of us do. I do for sure. But now it feels really good to kind of acknowledge in this video of like, I am a drummer and I am a, writer and a podcast. I don't think I've ever said that publicly on a video, like all in that context. And so I feel better because I'm able to say that and just kind of embrace it. And so my challenge really to any of you that want to get started on it again is, choose what it is that you want to do. Maybe it's photography. Build yourself a time where you can really focus on it for a sprint. Build your baseline up. And then if you also love the idea of doing music, it's like, okay, give yourself permission. Learn how to play a guitar or drums or whatever it is, and get that to a baseline where when you come back to it, you're not going to have to start from zero, and you just keep building up those skill sets where eventually you're at a point where you can jump around things, and within 5 minutes you can get into the flow of playing drums. Like for me, I can take years off of playing drums. I have done that as I've moved around and stuff, but when I get back on the kit, it's like I never left, and that makes it a lot easier and more fun to be a multi-passionate person. And so it's just about giving yourself the discipline and the grace and, the extended timeline to allow yourself to get to that point. Like for me, I just got lucky on some of these things being a kid and being interested in them early on and just having access to them. But there's other things like woodworking that's like, I didn't learn anything like that as a kid. And now I want to build that into, my skill sets. And so that'll be the next thing for me. So let me know what that next thing will be for you. I hope this was helpful, gave some of you permission maybe, and I just appreciate you listening and watching, and I'll see you guys very soon.